Hey, I'm Kanisha. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to talk about Sense8 Season 1, Episode 1. And the first thing I want to talk about are that there were three major things that stood out to me about these powers, this limbic resonance, as I was watching this episode. So, one of the major things that stood out to me was when the old guy, and sorry to the actor, but I don't have a name for your character, so until further notice, I'm just gonna call him old guy. So he walks into that abandoned building where Angelica is, and he says, give me the gun. But then the camera kind of cuts to the mental link that he has with Angelica, and he said something else. He said, put the gun down. That stood out to me because I would have figured that if it's the same person at the same time, then the guy walking in, he would have verbally said the same thing as the guy who was mentally communicating with Angelica. So I just thought that was weird and unusual, despite this whole circumstance being unusual. But if it was one person, wouldn't you have verbally said and thought the same thing? So it makes me wonder, like, when this power is in use and you're connected to another person, does that mean that there are actually multiple, like, sets of consciousness that you have? I just thought it was maybe, okay, so maybe the guy is way smarter than I am, but I can only say and think the exact same thing. But in this case, the way that this was shot, the guy walks in, says one thing, and then he's mentally communicating with Angelica and says a different thing. It's the same idea about the gun. Give me the gun, put the gun down. It's the same idea, but the words are different, and I would have thought if it was the same person, the same mind, like, it would have been done in unison with the exact same sentence. So that stood out to me. Is there something going on with the state of consciousness or the mind? Are there different versions of the mind when this is happening? I don't know if there's like a splitting of the mind that might be happening while the powers are in use, or if there's some sort of expansion of the senses. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there are two people that said that, or if it's just one and you can just do more, think more, sense more. I don't know, but that moment stood out to me. The second thing, major thing about these powers that stood out to me was, well, this kind of has two parts, but the other thing that stood out was when Will was having that dream. So of course, I assume it was him as a little boy, and he's following this girl around to this abandoned building that we eventually see was a real place. But it stood out to me because it made me wonder, like, was that really Angelica trying to communicate with Will in the present? I don't know, but it kind of threw me off. And it made me think, like, what's going on? Like, because there's no way for me to know, is this regular old dream nonsense that I'm sure we've all experienced, just weird stuff happening in dreams? Or could this moment really, like, signify something specific happening with this set of powers that Angelica and the other people have? And the second part of this of this kind of topic about the powers. So the first part was Will's weird dream. The second part was what was happening with Nomi. in the theater. So she's watching the performance, and I think that is happening in the present day. But she has a vision of Angelica, and it just made me wonder, like, is Angelica somehow reaching out to these people in the current day? But to me, I'm thinking Angelica is already dead by this point. So can these powers transcend time? It just felt like Will and Nomi's encounter with Angelica, like when he was having his dream and Nomi in the theater, it felt like that was happening present day. But I thought that by that time Angelica was already dead. So I don't know if Angelica is still trying to reach out to them, is part of Angelica's consciousness like connected to the two of them and also the other 6, but it's still connected with them. I just don't know, like, how do these powers function when it comes to time? Is it really like you could go in one direction, like following time, or is there a back and forth that is possible, considering Angelica maybe talking to Will as a young boy? But I don't know. Maybe that was just weird dream stuff and I'm like thinking too much and thinking too hard about this. But I mean, even if the stuff with Will was absolutely a dream, nothing more, then what happened with Nomi still kind of makes me wonder about how these powers function through time. So there's a third major thing, but I'm going to get to it a little bit later, because first I want to talk about the people that were after Angelica. So the old guy and a crew come into that space where Angelica was, and clearly they're after her. They want to capture her for some reason. And Angelica is talking with Jonas. And they're having a conversation about protecting the 8 people that she connects with and sees. I find it interesting that the old guy was talking to Angelica about there's still work to be done. So, of course, what does he want with her? What work is still to be done? Like, what's going on with that? And then Angelica told Jonas to protect them. So, protect them, why, for what? So, there's all these questions going through my mind, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what might be happening here? So, those questions actually lead me to the third major thing about these powers that stood out to me. So, in the first scene, the old guy is mentally connected with Angelica, and they're talking. And he tells her, so this is how you've been hiding from me, something like that. And then he picks up the foil. When I first watched this, that didn't mean anything to me. It was nothing. But the second time I watched this, I was like, okay, wait a minute. He could see the foil. He could touch it and pick it up. And he's not there at all. So, like, okay, this is a big deal. This is significant. At least I think it is. But, so it makes me wonder, who are these people? I'm thinking this is some kind of crime syndicate. Like, these people are exploiting these powers to commit crime. Like, that's the first thing I came up with. Because obviously, if you have these powers where you can connect to another person, be in another location, and like touch and move stuff that's around you, obviously there are some bad things that you can do and you can get away with. So you could steal things, presumably you can touch and move things. You could commit murder and there would never be any evidence that you were at the scene of the crime. So like, this is all bad, basically. And the old guy obviously seemed like gross and like he just seemed bad and nefarious. So and obviously it was bad enough that Angelica didn't want to be found. She didn't want to be doing whatever it is that they were doing before with the old guy and his crew. And of course at the end she decided she was better off not going back with him under any circumstances and pulls the trigger. So these people are bad with the old guy, and I assume that they are criminals. Now, I don't know if these are like scientists that have turned bad and are now, you know, exploiting this drug or molecule that exists in all people, the DMT. I don't know if, you know, scientists turn bad and like the Walter White-esque kind of turn, or if, I don't know, these are criminals that have just found this drug and are running amok. I don't know what's going on, but these bad people have made this discovery and are using it to their advantage and taking advantage of other people illegally, I assume. So that makes me think these people are terrible, and it makes me think that if they get their hands on the other 8, they're going to force them into committing crimes, doing things against their will. So, and of course it was bad enough that Angelica wanted to get away. So, okay, she would want to protect the 8 from going through the same things that she went through. So that's kind of my thoughts so far. Those are major things that stood out to me about these powers. I mean, clearly the basis of the power, I guess, is that there's this DMT and people are able to connect with each other and, I guess, share sensory experiences. And I guess these, I don't know how any of this works, but that's what I'm assuming the powers are essentially. And of course we see the different characters experiencing things that other characters are experiencing, like the girl from Mumbai heard thunder and lightning. The girl in South Korea, she saw chicken, and all that. Like, we see that with all the characters. So they're sharing their senses. They don't know what's going on yet. I am looking forward to seeing like how are they all gonna meet up. I hope that's coming soon. But basically this kind of video, I don't really have much else to go off of, much else to talk about really. It's just those things about the power stood out to me. I think I kind of get the gist of what these powers are now. And of course there's going to be, I guess, more clarification about what is possible, what's not possible with using these powers. And of course we're going to learn about the old guy and what his deal is, why he wants Angelica and all that stuff. But yeah, for this first episode, like, the powers were like front and center and basically what the episode was about. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and it's really not a whole lot else that I can really talk about right now. A random thought I had was about Nyx talking to Riley, that conversation at the end of the episode. So she was listening to the headphones and Nyx came over and talked to her, but he was telling her about how he isolated himself, and a friend, she gave him a gift, which was whatever drugs they were doing. But the fact that he said she really stood out to me, and I'm wondering if Nyx has any sort of connection to Angelica. it seems like they're both dead, so I don't know if it's even worth, like, I don't know if it's worth the show's time to even answer that. So I don't know if we'll get any answer on that, but it crossed my mind. It would make sense to me if he had a connection to Angelica, and of course Angelica is, you know, has the sensory experience with connecting to people, so that made sense to me, but it might not matter since it seems like they're both dead. I don't know, I'm not sure about Angelica, but Nyx definitely seems like he's not going to be coming back. So, like, it feels like a really short video compared to my Warrior Nun videos, but that's kind of all I have right now. Overall, I thought this was a very good episode. It's very intriguing. That first scene I thought was awesome, and it did a great job of like hooking me and wanting me to I feel like I said that weird. So the first scene did a good job of like hooking me into this world and hooking me into trying to figure out what this power is, what's possible. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing like what is going on with these powers. How are these people connected? Like, I have so many questions. Like, are the 8 people connected for a particular reason? Is it random that they're connected to Angelica and Jonas and all, I guess the old guy? Sorry, man, I don't have a name for you, but I'm excited to see what is going on. And I'm looking forward to seeing like how far these connections can go. Is there like a limit to how many people can share the same senses? Or is it possible that all 8 are gonna be able to like be in the same place and experience the same thing? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to seeing it all and figuring it all out. I think, well, the one thing I'm most excited to see for the next episode is actually, what is Riley gonna do now? She ends up in a terrible situation. She's surrounded by dead bodies now. So what is she gonna do? Is she gonna try to find Will? Is she gonna take the money in the safe and like go to America? What is she gonna do? And how, like, is she gonna be able to like control the powers first out of all the 8? Nyx is, well, she's the only one that knows about limbic resonance out of the 8 people, so I'm assuming she's going to end up being the first to like start trying to connect to the other 8 people. She didn't know it's 8 people right now, or 7 others, excluding her. But I'm guessing she's gonna be the catalyst to be the one that's going to reach out and eventually discover that there are 8 of them. So maybe it won't all be on her, but I guess she'll be the first. She's already met Will, and she knows about the limbic resonance from Nyx. So I'm really looking forward to see next episode. What's gonna go on with her? What's she gonna do now? But yeah, that's kind of all I have for this video. The powers are absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to see more about what's happening with the powers. How do they have the powers? Like, everything. I'm looking forward to see everything about the powers and all of this explanation about what is going on and why. And what's up with the old guy? What's he doing? I'm sure it's something horrible and heinous and all of that, but really what's going on? But yeah, I'm kind of gonna wrap this up. Actually, okay, one last thing. Tell me in the comments, would you want to have this limbic resonance ability? Would you want to be able to connect with a stranger in another city and be able to sense the world around them? I don't know. But let me know what you think. Would you want to have this limbic resonance power? Let me know in the comments. And that's going to do it for this video. Looking forward to seeing what else is going on now. But yeah, that'll do it. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I want to give you a gift as thanks for watching. You can get early access to watch my next video. You won't have to wait a week to see my thoughts on the next episode. Just click the link in the description to get access now. I'll see you there.